What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. SummerSlam videos have been long overdue on the channel. This SummerSlam, I watched this SummerSlam about 2 years ago. I was bored and thought, why not? I enjoyed watching, it wasn't anything amazing or anything like that, but I had a good time. So it's nice to go back and watch it once more for this video. With that said, WWE was all in on the new guys such as John Cena and especially Randy Orton at the time. The Legend Killer in particular enjoyed a splendid 2004 up to this point, establishing himself as a future main eventer. The match with Mick Foley really did wonders for his career, and to many, including myself, perceived that match to be a watershed moment in his career. From a rookie upstart to a man that was going to make it to the top no matter what. So what we're going to do right now is jump back to 2004 in order to talk about SummerSlam. The event was held in the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada on August 15, 2004. 17,640 were there to do the wave, and the buy rate was 320,000, which was way lower than the 415,000 of 2003. A year after that would shatter them though. There was of course some funny Olympic Games commercials in order to build up the pay-per-view. Also, what SummerSlam you guys want next? I want to do one more before moving on to the September pay-per-views. Whatever you guys want, just comment it down below, and I'll choose one of them. Okay, let's get into it. The first match is a 6-man tag. Rey Mysterio teamed up with the tag champions Billy Kidman and Paul London to face the Dudleys. At this point in time, Spike decided to become the boss of his family and would start commanding his siblings to get tables or do as he sees fit. It was a nice little run for Spike, but by the end of the year, it would fizzle out. Kidman and London had just become champions and would embark on a very overlooked story that year. Rey Mysterio was popular as ever, but had yet to find that breakout feud. Like he was stuck in the mid-card. With that said, this match was a nice little opener. The bell rings and Billy and Devon start things off. Kidman quickly goes for some strikes, but it's cornered. He managed to escape and go for a head scissors before catching Dudley with a drop kick. London's in and the champs do some double teaming. Devon was failing to make any sort of offense initially as London was very quick and elusive. Then Bubba pulled him by the hair, and so of course you know what happens. Rey breaks the fall before Spike's tagged in. He's basking in all the hatred and even found some time to provoke Rey. Bubba's in and he was finding time to trash talk while whooping his ass. Devon's tagged in and he goes for the headlock. London battles out but walks straight to a power slam. Taz and Cole argued over double standards while Bubba's beating on London, who showed heart. Just when he's got things figured out, Devon delivers a cheap shot. Nonetheless, he managed to bounce back and tag in Rey Mysterio, and he of course had the hot tag sequence, going for a flapjack, a springboard leg drop, and even connected with a top rope hurricanrana, giving him a 2 count. It took a while for his momentum to be halted. The Dudleys were failing to stop the man, and it wasn't until Spike went for a headbutt in the ribs. Billy Kidman's in, he knocks down the Dudleys and hits the BK bomb on Spike. Chaos unfolds in the ring, leading to London going for a tupa suicida, and inside, Rey and Billy double teamed Spike, leading to the 619 and then the shooting star. Unfortunately, Devon broke the fall and ended up clotheslining the hell out of Paul London. Bubba risked getting disqualified, but it didn't matter because they hit the 3D. Spike goes to the cover. 1, 2, 3. Alright, this one picked up near the end. Crowd was pretty quiet for this initially, and it kind of caught me off guard because I seem to remember the entire show having an intense atmosphere. But we'll see. We'll see how the show goes. As I said, it was pretty basic until the hot tags kicked in, and it's not bad at all. Alright, the next match was Till Death Do Us Part. Kane faces Matt Hardy. If Matt Hardy loses, then Lita gets to marry Kane. Okay, this was a very complicated storyline with Lita carrying Kane's baby. Mark Henry, Matt Hardy was ready to kill him, whereas Kane just wanted to marry her. And it's definitely one of the weirdest storylines from the 2000s, and that's saying a lot. And this was only the beginning. Like, this would obviously lead to Snitsky, the whole Edge and Lita thing, all that. Matt Hardy was slowly transitioning away from the version 1 character and was now a certified babyface, whereas Kane was not as tough as he was previously. Like in kayfabe, he wasn't 2003 Kane at all. Immediately, Hardy went on the attack. Kane was struggling with the onslaught coming his way and even took a leg drop off the second rope. Obviously, this wasn't close to enough. Nonetheless, Hardy was still on offense and Kane was looking very vulnerable. Ref gets distracted and he's back in. Now Matt was taking a beating involving strikes, chokes, and even got a little distracted by Lita, leading to Hardy finding a little opening and continuing the non-stop attack. Hell, he even managed to hit the twist of fate. Since this was a desperate situation, Hardy was content with a count-out win. Unfortunately, that never happened, and all of a sudden, Lita brought in a ring bell. This plan worked out very well, but the foot was on the rope. Kane was a bit loopy, but despite this, almost caught Matt with a chokeslam. He wouldn't get to hit it then and there, but he managed to hit him with an avalanche chokeslam, sending him straight to hell. 1, 2, 3. Alright, this felt like a TV match. Like, it's not out of the realm to see this type of action on Raw. That's what it felt like. Doesn't mean it was bad, it was just there. But the story was on a whole other level. Like, that was ridiculous. The ending gives it bonus points because, come to think about it, Kane didn't execute many of those choke slams. From here, I believe Shawn Michaels would return. Matt Hardy went out due to injury. And you gotta wonder, like, what would have happened had the story continued with Matt Hardy? But yes, average match. In the back, Todd Grisham interviewed the #1 contender, Randy Orton. Legend Killer didn't think there was a reason for anybody, such as Lita, to be upset, because tonight is going to go down in history because one of the most talented, youngest, charismatic, and best-looking wrestlers is going to ascend to greatness. Suddenly, his SmackDown counterpart John Cena showed up and thanked Orton for that introduction. Then he asked the fans if they like Randy Orton. They clearly didn't, so he asked them if he's going to beat Chris Benoit. Not a good reception. Orton didn't care about what the quote-unquote ass-backwards Canadians say, and Cena interrupting was pathetic. He obviously prophesized the future before leaving, and this backstage segment gives me original SVR vibes. Like, these two are perceived to be the very top guys for the future, and funny enough, like, it was supposed to be Randy Orton that was going to be the main guy. Like, that's what it seemed like at the time. When you look at it from a 2004 perspective, it felt like Orton was going to be bigger. The next match was match number 1 in the best of 5 series for the United States Championship. Booker T defends the title against John Cena. So for context, Kurt Angle let his ego get the best of him and decides to strip John Cena of the title. Teddy Long became GM and booked this series. That's all. They didn't really have much of a build-up. It wasn't really that memorable. The feud itself, whenever I think about it, I just legit think best of 5. Like, I don't think of any segments in particular. Right out of the gate, both men trash-talked, acted all aggressive before slowing down for a moment. Booker got an elbow in before connecting with some chops. Cena, though, caught him with the clothesline before going for the throwback. He ended up getting thrown into the ropes before getting knocked down to the outside. Slowly but surely, Booker T took control. John was struggling, getting mocked, all while the fans were rallying him on. The challenger tried his best to fight back, but Booker T quickly shut him down. He found himself in the camel clutch, but managed to lift Booker and drive him into the corner, but it still didn't stop the champ as he rebounded with a spinebuster, a side slam, and a chin lock. Cena had this moment where he evaded the scissors kick leading to a burst of momentum, but again, Booker T ended it before going for a spin-a-rooney. Suddenly, Cena catches him and hits the FU. 1, 2, 3. To be honest, I didn't have high hopes for this one. I remember watching it a few years ago, and it didn't seem to like/remember it. Now I understand why. It felt like they were just going through the motions, we got a quick match. I do believe that their series wasn't that memorable in general, barring the final match. It's not exactly must-watch at all. It's just there. This match included. Like, the whole series in general, compared to the other series such as Booker and Chris Benoit, this just pales compared to all of them. Backstage, Eric Bischoff teased Teddy talking about how he's seen 5 or 6 GMs in the past, and even said that by Survivor Series, he doubts Teddy will be in charge. He rebounded by telling Bischoff that he has no problem signing Eugene, or for that matter, any other wrestler that wants out of Raw. Bischoff's little statement was funny because if we fast forward 7 years later, Teddy's still in the same position. The next match is for the Intercontinental Championship. Batista and Chris Jericho challenged the hometown native Edge for the gold. Oh yeah, this one. So Edge for some reason was booed by his own hometown. Last time he wrestled in the city, he was being loved and adulated, but that changed, which I assume was because his work ever since returning wasn't that interesting. That's what I assume. Like Edge 2004, he's not that memorable. Batista quickly attacked him, leading to a mini one-on-one match between Jericho and himself. He used his brute power and strength to take advantage easily. Did Jericho put up a fight? Yeah, but Batista was adaptable. It was looking like the end was nigh, but Edge made the save, and Batista makes a mistake on the outside before receiving a low drop kick from Y2J, and this leads to the mini-match between the Canadians. Y2J struck first, Edge responded of course with chops and strikes before finding himself in a wall situation. He quickly fixed this issue with the inside cradle before walking directly into a crossbody. He adapted, and meanwhile in commentary they felt very confused as to why Edge was being booed. Jericho finally locked in the walls. Edge is in agonizing pain and things were very bad, but Batista made the save and sent Y2J to the outside. Edge capitalized on the moment and connected with the execution, but Batista kicked out. As he's going for the spear, Jericho ruins everything before walking into the spinebuster. Edge makes the save, almost walks into disaster himself, but managed to prevent that. Jerry Law was talking about how Batista was getting more cheers than Edge, and in the ring, Y2J connected with a bulldog before catching Batista with a dropkick. Edge takes notice and hits the spear. 1, 2, 3. As if the fans were happy. The match itself was quicker and much more entertaining than the last ones. Jericho was my man of the match. He put in a good performance, and so far it's my favorite of the night. Although that looks like it will change real soon. But yes, Edge getting booed, it planted the seeds for his heel turn in a way. I don't know if that's true or not, but I read reports that he was really upset by it, and we all know what happened about 2 months later. The next match was between Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, the rematch from WrestleMania 20. So Kurt Angle had been out indefinitely due to a neck injury. WWE decided to feature him on television as an on-screen authority figure. During the GM run, Kurt Angle was constantly sticking it to Eddie Guerrero, either verbally or occasionally physically. This all stemmed from the fact that Angle never accepted his loss at WrestleMania, so he costed Latino Heat the WWE Championship. Because his actions were conduct unbecoming of a GM, he was fired and reinstated on the roster. Angle was talking about how Eddie couldn't beat him without cheating, whereas Latino Heat questioned that statement, asking Kurt, but what if I can? I spoke about their initial feud for the title in that Eddie Guerrero Championship reign thing. Now, if I were to speak about this iteration in full, it's going to have to be an entirely different video. I'm not sure how to go about it at the moment. Now, outside of the ring, Eddie was under a hell of a lot amount of stress. I'll get into that soon. The bell rings, you could hear the Eddie chants, and here we go. Quick collar and elbow, Angle with a single leg, trying to out-wrestle Eddie, but he stood his ground. I mean, he's skilled in this area. It's not as good as Angle, but still. Kurt cornered him, and suddenly the crowd chanted his name. Taz was as confused as anybody. Eddie quickly went for the ankle, opting to play some mind games, and he was really beating Angle at his own damn game at the moment, similar to WrestleMania 21 where HBK caught Kurt off guard. Kurt, though, bounced back going for a key lock before attempting a German. Nonetheless, Eddie caught him with the ankle lock, and the commentary couldn't believe this. He had to desperately rake the eyes in order to escape, and from out of nowhere hit the angle slam before taking off the straps. Already, he got the ankle lock locked in, and for some reason, I feel like WWE circa 2021 would have ended it right here. Eddie locked one in as well, but the pain got the best of him. He reaches the ropes, and Luther Reigns decides to deliver a cheap shot. Once again, Kurt was really eyeing a submission victory, and it was full focus on that one body limp. He began working it by slamming the ankle on the mat into the post, and even when Eddie tried fighting back, he would quickly go for the ankle lock. This time, he transitioned into another hold. Intelligently, Angle loosened Guerrero's boot, wanting to prevent a WrestleMania situation, I assume, and the match itself was like Angle did his homework. He knew what and how to execute his game plan. Jawbreaker grants Eddie an opening, and so he hits the angle slam. He was hurting, and this did not allow him to attack quickly, hence the slow pace. Nonetheless, he hit the three amigos, and as Eddie climbs up top, Kurt Angle capitalized on the time wasting and hit a belly to belly. He tries going for the angle slam, but Eddie countered with the DDT. Frog Splash goes south, and Kurt hits another angle slam. But again, Eddie Guerrero kicked out. He decides, you know what, screw it, and took off the boot before going for the exposed ankle. Eddie, though, pulled Kurt into the ref before striking him with a boot, leading to one of his famous tactics. After, of course, throwing the boot at Reigns, he goes for another frog splash, and this time it's good. 1, 2, Angle kicks out. He tried complaining to the ref, and this cost him because Kurt locked him in the ankle lock. Eddie's writhing in pain. He's trying to grapevine it, and once he did, Guerrero tapped. Awesome match. It really flew by quickly compared to the others. I really enjoyed watching it last time around, and more so here. Like, I had much more fun watching it here than I did in the past. It was like Eddie Guerrero never got into the match from my perspective until the referee got knocked down. Angle was always above him, or at least one step ahead of him, and the isolation of the ankle proved to be Angle's key to victory. From here, he had a superb run that's probably my favorite of Angle's in his WWE career. You know, he was hurt yet was pulling out iconic matches, hilarious promos, and just overall being one of, if not the best damn talents in the WWE. Eddie Guerrero, though, was stressed out. He felt that the ticket sales and the buy rates going down was tied to his title run, and it was a pretty dark time for him. If I even remember correctly, he had a little fight with Angle in the back, but of course he bounced back a while later. The next match was between Triple H and Eugene. This whole thing looks out of place. Like, think about it. Triple H and Eugene at SummerSlam. So long story short, Triple H played Eugene like a violin, convincing him that he's his friend, but it turns out he was a devil. There was this iconic shot that perfectly captures just how Triple H was in the build-up of the feud. If you want more on that, check out my Eugene video, or perhaps wait for a remake of the Evolution run in 2027. Right out of the gate, Eugene won the attack, and Triple H capitalized. He delivered stomps and strikes. Eugene caught him with a reverse elbow before a high back body drop. Triple H had to use Lillian Garcia in order to take back control, and he just shoved her like nothing afterwards. Like I said, 0205 Triple H is the most dastardly villain from that decade. He tried to suplex Eugene right out of the ring, but it backfired. The game was taking a beating in the corner and suddenly felt wobbly in his leg. Well, at least that's what it seemed like because he lied. 2 back breakers on his opponent, but he still wasn't in control yet. Eugene was putting up a fight, and I thought his hesitation got the best of him here, but he got Triple H with a rock bottom for attempting a people's elbow. Off the ropes, Eugene walks directly into a spinebuster, and to think all of this wouldn't have happened had Eugene called Rock his favorite wrestler. Triple H was delivering punches, and Eugene suffered a cut on the shoulder. Strikefest almost gives way to Eugene, but Triple H applies a sleeper. He broke free, but almost walked into a pedigree. Nonetheless, he countered, leading to some boost from the fans, and Eugene decided to no-sell everything, leading to an atomic drop, a clothesline, and a stone-cold stunner. Ric Flair then makes an appearance, and this distraction clearly didn't work, and in the ring, the game took a boot and the leg drop. Of course he kicked out. Rig gets knocked off the apron before Eugene climbs up to the top, but it proved to be a big mistake. He rectifies that issue, leading to a pedigree of his own, and since Flair was aware of the situation, put Triple H's foot on the rope. He tripped him, leading to his ejection. William Regal suddenly appears and knocks the Nature Boy out. Eugene's loving this, but it was at this moment where he screwed up. Triple H was staring at him as if he was the one who took NXT away from him, and once he turned, boom, pedigree, 1, 2, 3. Not gonna lie, I wasn't bored with the match. It just wasn't special or anything you want to watch. It's probably Eugene's best match in WWE though, while for Triple H it was just another day. Eugene started falling down the card soon enough and would never ever reach this high in WWE. Time for Diva Dodgeball. So the Diva Search girls were set to face off the Women of Raw. This thing proved to be a dominant win for the Diva Search girls. They absolutely dominate, you know. The match started 6-on-6, but ended 5-2. 2-0. Then afterwards, drama ensued between Trish and Victoria, and with regards to this thing, they apparently made it to Wrestler's Court for losing. Here's what Ivory had to say in an interview with Kayfabe Commentaries. So we had a Wrestler's Court. The Divas got brought to court on the charges that they lost legitimately on Dodgeball in the pay-per-view against the New Divas. The Bikini Girls, Diva Search contestants. So the wrestlers thought that this was just horrible and a real admonishment to women as athlete, and they made a big deal out of it. She obviously said more, but we don't want to link pad this video for the sake of it. It's just very odd that they got punished for that. Like, you guys made it legit. That's what happens. You're going to have to pay the consequences. It's risky. Anyways, the next match is the WWE Championship. JBL defends the gold against the Undertaker. So JBL pulled one of the biggest upsets of the summer. It was up there with the U.S. basketball team losing in the Olympics and Greece winning the Euros. A man who wasn't even considered to be U.S. champion managed to win the biggest prize in the WWE, and it just goes to show you right place at the right time. JBL, he had a great gimmick, but it was going to take a while for fans to get used to. At this point, The Undertaker was his first true challenger. Eddie Guerrero was the first one, but he doesn't really count because they were embroiled in a feud for about 3 months. As I said, it took a while for JBL to get comfortable with the gimmick, but once he did, he was one of the best characters in my opinion in WWE. Anyways, Bradshaw struggled early on with The Undertaker, but got really comfortable soon enough. He was really eager to score the W as soon as possible, like Taz said, but The Undertaker suddenly went after the arm, which had previously been worked on. Old school, downward spiral, but JBL grabbed the rope. And then goes for a triangle choke, and things were so bad that Orlando Jordan had to make the save. He accidentally got his, although I don't think Taker regrets it, but it also led to JBL targeting that left knee. Hell, he even blasted him with a chair. Taker was struggling, found himself stuck in the figure 4, all while Toronto's doing the wave. Taz and Cole were completely confused and didn't know what to make out of this. Like, just listen to that crowd.
I'm doing a wave! What the hell is going on here?
Undertaker was going for some smooth transitions into submission holds, but they could care less. It was fighting through the pain. All the fans were chanting, Spanish table. JBL had to use some questionable tactics to find a moment to breathe. Undertaker has the superplex, but JBL kicks out at 2. As he goes for the last ride, JBL goes after the knee. Back and forth action. A slugfest that proved to be a huge mistake for the champion as it led to the opening. Taker's pace took a hit due to the knee, but he was still connecting with his moves. Hell, he even hit the choke slam. But once again, JBL kicked out. Orlando interferes and boom, clothesline from hell. By the time Bradshaw goes for the cover, Undertaker kicked out. Ref drama ensues leading to a double boot. Orlando Jordan rings in the title and JBL strikes. They took a page out of the Stone Cold playbook, but the dead man put his shoulder up. Jordan attacks, gets thrown out, and JBL hits a light clothesline. He'd attack in the corner, but Taker catches him and boom, last ride. For the third time, Bradshaw kicked out. Jordan interferes again. Taker grabs the title and blasts JBL, giving him the DQ victory. He got angry and continued the beating after the match. JBL's busted open, was thrown into the window of his limo, and to top it all off was chokeslammed through the roof. Alright, that match was pretty damn dull. I was barely into it compared to the other matches, and unlike them, it lasted for an eternity. That's what it felt like. I just did not like it at all. And Undertaker and JBL just never had the best matches. I just don't think of their matches positively, honestly. Also, it's funny to think that Bruce Pritchard said that they were considering having JBL win this match clean, and The Undertaker was lobbying for it as well. It's just so crazy to think about. But yes, he'd continue his title run and feud with The Undertaker following SummerSlam. And the main events, Randy Orton challenges Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship. Also known as the match where Randy Orton found the title. So I don't know if you guys know, but to me this from bell to bell, it's a top 5 SummerSlam main event, in my opinion. It kind of hurts watching it for obvious reasons, but if we look at it from that time's perspective, it was probably one of the best. Orton had this superb run starting at the end of 2003, and it culminated on this night. He was having great matches, promos, and the crazy part was that he was only 24 years old. Benoit, on the other hand, had a good run as champion, but was not featured in the main event as much as Triple H. Still, though, it was a great year for him. Bell rings and both men take their time in starting the fight. Matter of fact, Orton seemed quite hesitant to lock up. Chris was aggressively receiving a warning from the ref, and since Earl Hebner was once again in Canada, he received a "you screwed Brett" chant. Benoit went for a reverse chin lock. Orton struggled but forced the champion into the corner. He countered with an overhand wrist lock. Orton escaped, but his knee meant nothing. Wrist lock was back in, but Orton struck and walked directly into an arm drag. He missed the drop kick, but finally accomplished something by locking Benoit on the sharpshooter. The move was countered, and just as Orton reached the rope, he goes to the crossface. This proved to be a huge mistake as Orton launched Benoit into the ring post. He tried stealing it, but failed. Lawler was defending him, claiming that the ropes were in the way, but nonetheless, Randy went to work. He tried to isolate that elbow. He tried going for those chops, but Orton was in control. He wasn't going to be stopped yet. Benoit aggressively tried escaping the situation, and it seemed like he failed, but he managed to DDT the Legend Killer. Orton rolled to the outside, but ended up taking a baseball slide, and then, well, he didn't get to take the dive, because he moved out of the way, and Jerry Lawler wanted to see that whole thing again. Oh my god, that looked brutal. Randy took control and eagerly went on the attack. Fans tried rallying him out, but they couldn't help but applaud him after hitting a gut-wrench slam. Benoit fought back and it seemed like things were figured out, but they both bumped into each other. Slugfest ensues and it leads to the comeback. Benoit was slowly but surely building that momentum while throwing Orton around. He tried going for the Germans, but Orton had them scouted, and instead, he hit the Northern Light suplex. He gets knocked down off the top, and for a change, Randy actually connects with a crossbody. That doesn't happen very often, and it was time for the RKO. JR was confused due to that, like he just didn't think this was the right time. The RKO was evaded and led to the German and a sharpshooter. He was thinking of tapping, of course, but it seemed like he was knocked down. Despite this, Orton recovered and reached that bottom rope. Benoit took advantage and hit a double hat trick of Germans, and it was looking like the end was near. He goes for the headbutt, but Orton had it scouted once again, and Benoit didn't stay down for long. Matter of fact, he managed to catch Orton with a crossface. Randy's shouting in pain, but like Jerry Lawler said, it was destiny. Benoit tries going for it again, but takes a spin, and Orton decides it's time for the RKO from out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3, the youngest world heavyweight champion in history. The crowd, Jerry Lawler, couldn't believe it, and history had been made. August 15, 2004 was a night that nobody will ever forget. That's just an iconic moment. I obviously know why they did it now, Brock Lesnar and stuff like that. But it's one of those moments that I assume that you'll always remember, like Randy Orton, the youngest world heavyweight champion in history. It's very impressive. Like my brother, he stopped watching wrestling years and years ago, like in 2007. He always mentions this once he sees Randy Orton. The match itself was very good. It was very entertaining. It was enjoyable. They would have a rematch the next night, and we all know what would happen afterwards. An angry Benoit then decided to confront Orton and demanded that, like a man, he shake his hand. Randy did just that, and thus began the Orton babyface run. It officially started like a week later, of course, but this is the beginning. Alright, that's SummerSlam 2004. The event wasn't that good. It wasn't boring or anything like that. It just had some matches that were just there. They weren't good. They weren't bad. They were average. John Cena and Booker T, you'd expect more from them. They didn't deliver in my eyes. Eddie versus Kurt Angle, great. Just not on the level of WrestleMania 20 in my opinion. I enjoyed that match way more. And to some, it's actually disappointing, even though it's pretty damn good. Undertaker and JBL, boring as hell. I did not like it. And the main event, match of the night for me. It was excellent. It had a crowning moment. As that, the action was intense. That's what I thought about SummerSlam. I thought it was pretty average. Like I said, I didn't hate it or anything like that. But compared to the other SummerSlams and the event in general, like the pay-per-view event, it wasn't that good. What did you guys think of SummerSlam 2004? Please comment down below. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the angle slam on the like button, perhaps the RKO on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.